It's the evening before apparently a huge snowstorm, but we know how that goes with the weatherman. Best job in the world, only get that right sometimes. But at the end of the day, I have prepped the skid that I own along with a snow blade that I've had for 2 years and haven't got the chance to use. I got the blade with the intentions of managing my property. If you follow the channel, you do know that outside of just our dumpster business, I do have some rental property I need to make sure I take care of, and I am tired of paying somebody to snow blade it, and I am tired of doing it by hand. So this year we're gonna break out the skid, and I'm just gonna drive it through town. When there's a big snowstorm, it's not unusual to see skids and tractors running through town. So I've kind of planned a good route with minimal traffic to get myself from my property to clear it out right away for my wife. So she can get to work. Then we're gonna head over to my parents' place, clear that out. Then I'm gonna hit my first rental, my second rental, and then my grandparents' house, all within probably about a 2 or 3 mile radius. I'm sure my butt's gonna be hurting driving through town on a tracked machine, but I've gotta get it done. I'm anticipating the snow coming, so it's gonna be an early morning. Let's see what happens. I like a game plan, but we know how that goes. We're finally gonna get to test this snow pusher. It's not that much snow, it truly isn't, but it is incredibly slick and it's that really thick, slushy snow. The one thing I did notice is all of my neighbors have about 1 foot to 1.5 foot in front of their driveway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through the entire neighborhood and just clear out the front of the driveway so they can make it to the street. The snow pushers go through here in the middle of the night and it just piles up. So I make a lot of noise around here, so I think the least I can do for my neighbors is make their morning just a little bit easier. Gonna also grab some salt, take that with us. That way I can salt over by my apartment building when we get the chance. Hope I don't get too cold inside of this heated cab. Like a glove. Clear that is. Woohoo! That is awesome. One push. Gotta love it. Filling up down the street. It's incredibly misleading. I mean, there's probably only 2 or 3 inches on the ground, but it's so wet and sloppy. It's kind of interesting. It's definitely a slip and slide, and I've seen 4 or 5 people already pull off on the side of the road just within 3 blocks, and I've seen a couple police cars. I feel terrible too. If you guys follow the channel, you've seen my brother before on here, and he owns a FedEx route. So he's the contractor for FedEx, 14 or 15 trucks. I know yesterday he had one that actually ended up in a ditch, and that was before this really even started to stick that bad, but it just got slick enough across the river, and he asked if I wanted to go with him, and of course I was like, yeah, but my daughter was asleep laying on the couch, so I was kind of like, can't this time. But it took him a while to respond to me, so I'm sure that wasn't a fun one to do. Big truck that was in the ditch. I'm more interested to see what this turns into in the next like 2 to 3 days. I have a feeling we're finally getting all that snow we haven't had, if that makes sense. Well, that wasn't that bad. Warp speed! Plowing the street. This one's already been plowed, but I don't want to be responsible, but like a big clump like this, if I pass it on the way to where I'm going, we'll at least push it to the side. came through, tossed a bunch of salt down. I'm almost out. I only grabbed a half bag, so at least that'll kind of just mitigate this a little bit. We're gonna come back with an actual salt spreader later once we have a little bit more and just get this whole thing doused in salt. With this being a gravel parking lot, of course, it kind of tears up because the ground isn't fully frozen yet. So I made sure to push all the snow into one pile over there, because later I'm gonna want to dig that gravel out and spread it after all this snow's gone for the year. At the end of the day though, I just want each person to have a path out of here. Make sure that the actual end of the driveway is nice and clear. The city does. When I came up here, again, there's like a foot of just clumps of snow. These little two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive cars really struggle to get out of there. That's always where I have a problem area, and I used to actually scoop that by hand. Definitely not gonna do that anymore. I'm not gonna pretend like I know a lot about pushing snow, so anybody who does this all the time, drop some comments in that section. Start giving some pointers to me and anybody else that might be doing it, or what some of your techniques are. So I got my first push out of the way. I really did. Good PR for the company. I literally just went down the entire neighborhood and cleared all the front parts of the drive off. So where the city built up all that snow, I've now cleared off each neighbor's drive right there. Since I'm not a professional, nobody's paying me to do it, and I don't want to be liable, I didn't go into anybody's driveway. Just not worth it, except for obviously my parents and my grandparents. Got them taken care of. But what I'm going to do now is, this snow is not slowing down. It's gonna build up really bad. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw some salt down in my own drive. I'm gonna back my skid into the garage after I wipe the tracks off. That way it stays, you know, relatively warm. Hopefully it doesn't freeze the tracks. And I can bet in probably the next few hours towards the end of the night or into the evening, I'll probably go out again. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, we can't have that. That's also probably packed with salt, so once this all dries up, we're definitely going to need to wash this out. That's a lot of snow. She's found her home for now. As predicted, I did end up going out. Didn't quite have the energy to film that again. Went past the apartment, hit that again, all the family members. Got that all taken care of. But, yeah, I'm tired of that. Here, though, you can see everything's kind of started to melt. It's getting kind of warm out. We're pretty much past this for a little while. The only problem now is the refreezing every night turns to ice, and in about 2 to 3 days we're predicted to have a foot and a half on top of this, and then after that it's going to be below freezing it's actually going to be below 0 for a few days in a row. So I predict that what we just had is going to just be absolutely nothing compared to the future. In the meantime, I did just get a really cool call. Somebody who was booking a dumpster just gave me a call and said, dude, I'm overwhelmed. I got like 2 or 3 other projects. Can you break into this apartment that I need this dumpster at and see what it would cost to just do the junk removal? And I'm like, yeah, we can do that. So that's where we're headed next. Keegan's already sitting there because we were supposed to drop a dumpster. He called me as it was supposed to be dropped off. He's like, I'm so sorry, man. Gave me the whole spiel. I was like, man, well, let's take a look at what we can do. So let's go take a look at it. So a few buddies of mine own this place, and it was a big project, something that they couldn't pass up, a decent deal, but there's no keys to it, so the only way to get in is to break in. There's about like 10 different ways we could enter this place, but this one's my favorite. Boarding up tomorrow afternoon. I wonder when they put that there. And this one has the least amount of nails in it, because everywhere else, every other entrance. So we might, looks like an animal chewed their way into this, be able to get and crawl through there.
Yeah, I am not going in there. It looks like some 100-year-old meth head Dracula thing is stored underneath here. And they're just gonna shank me with their meth syringes.
All right, I'm going in.
There you go. Lunatic boss at it again with his weird obsessions of climbing through tight holes. That's what she said. Yep. I won't wait for you to crawl in there. I'm gonna board you back in there. I'm gonna take a 10-day vacation. Dude, it's crazy.
Dude, it's packed.
Dude,
yeah.
Horror movie starts
this is spooky.
Don't stay long. Because if you scream or something, I'm not coming in there.
Bro, come on. We're better in here together than by ourselves. Come on.
You're the tough guy, dude.
It's all boarded up.
You got all the muscles
in. No one's moving around in here. If they're in here, they're dead.
Dude, open the door. I'm not climbing through here.
Well, I'm looking at the door, but it's not on the frame, so that's the only way in. It's a lizard. This matches Lizzie the lizard that we have at the shop. Oh, man. It's lost its tail. It must be a skink. The most terrifying thing about all of this is only one room, and I'm pretty sure there's 6 units. Hey, look, a lawnmower. So I don't even know where to start on this bid. This thing's creepy. This is gnarly. We decided to show up. You needed a nice clean hole to crawl through.
Dude, I didn't want to crawl through the hole to begin with.
Is it bad, like floor to ceiling, like squatter stuff, or bad like somebody took a sledgehammer and was like, I'm gonna...
No, I mean, structurally it doesn't look horrible, but dude, I'm not going to say floor to ceiling, but halfway to the ceiling. I'm literally standing on stuff that is very firm, and my head's almost at the ceiling.
Okay.
So...
yeah, we hadn't been in that one yet then.
Yeah, this one, yeah, I'm watching my step, but it's packed, dude.
I should have told you that too.
Keegan did not want to crawl out of that again. Want some better wood inside.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Looks like they took a nail gun to it. Look at
Yeah.
that. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try to get that open right now.
No.
It's probably still good, man. Yeah, hammer in case I need it. Okay. Now see, this is more reasonable. I mean, it still sucks. Oh, get a look at that toilet. That was getting some use. Holy moly. So, probably one of the last things we're going to be able to get access to is the basement. Oh my gosh. There's trash coming up from the basement all the way up the stairs. It's probably the last thing we're able to actually access, just to get a peek. I don't know if I want to go down there. Yeah, I do.
This dude is a psychopath.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Let me see that camera. This is gnarly. Spider web. It's in my nose! Wonder if I could use that. I'm literally holding my breath down here. It's mostly insulation. Not a lot of hoarder stuff, but surprisingly kind of dry. They're gonna need new everything. Well, at least we know no one's hiding down here. At least I don't smell them. Let's call this a day. we got into 2 of the 4 units. I'll call that a win. Day continues to get more and more interesting. So I'm gonna get back to him on a good bid. Go ahead and drop in the comments what you think we should actually charge for that job, and I'll update you if we get it. But in the meantime, what we're doing is we're heading out to that truck that I mentioned earlier, that while I was snow plowing, Caleb ended up losing a FedEx truck. So it's been a fun day for him. Apparently there's a wrecker out there. You weren't able to get that with your winch on your Jeep, were you?
There's a sheet of ice the whole highway.
Yeah, there's a sheet of ice, no tree to snatch block off of if you had that idea too. And what's the angle of this truck? I mean, just teetering.
On the side.
Yeah, it's somebody messaged you and even said there's a truck flipped over, didn't they?
I had 2 people call me, said, I just read on Facebook there's a truck on Highway A and it's on its side, it's flipped over. I said, I hope not, because I'm on my way there.
So luckily it just looked like it had flipped over because it was at that steep of an angle. There was no way this Jeep, even though it's rescued tons and tons of trucks before, was pulling this big old hoss out, big 24 valve delivery truck. So they've got a wrecker over there, and his biggest fear is that when they go to try to actually pull it off the ditch, that it's gonna flip itself. Let's see what happens. Dang, that is not a cool angle at all. They're formulating a plan. Oof. This is gonna be so sketchy. Good deal. Block it?
Yep.
Come on, baby, don't tip. Don't tip. It's pulling the truck sideways. He's gotta anchor it down again. It's just sliding on the road. Oh, wow. That's a unique little device. I hope it doesn't crush the back of the cab. That's the only thing I could worry about. It's an absolute teeter-totter right now. Those back wheels aren't even on the ground on that side. He's trying not to bend up the box too much. Oh man. He's shortening the chain now. Get a little bit more pull out of it without having to move the truck. Come on, baby. Oh boy. That's wild. Caleb just jumped in to man the brakes. Definitely the sketchiest part of this so far. There's nothing underneath there. We did just find out the truck's dead too. One of the 2 dualies is on the pavement. A little bit more. He's on it. He's actually on it, giving it a crank. There you go. On the road. He also only has 3 miles still empty on that truck. We ran for a long time before we could get moving. Jeez. Anytime I ever have a problem, I just think, well, at least I'm not Caleb. Well, that could have been worse. The box might be tweaked just a hair. but I mean, honestly, kind of shocked. I expected that to go catastrophically wrong. Cracked windshield, most likely from a snowplow going by. It was covered in snow on the side. Slight bend in the bumper, no big deal. It made for an interesting 24 hours, but it'll also give you a glimpse that anytime you think that you have it worse than anybody else, I promise you, somebody's got something else going on that's a bummer. Remember that not only in your personal life, but in just business, because there's always somebody dealing with something catastrophically worse than whatever else is going on for you. Not saying what you're experiencing isn't important, because everybody has their stressors and their triggers, but somebody is experiencing something physically and emotionally and financially much worse than you are. And these were a couple of really good examples. We had snow guys out probably making tons of money today or yesterday or the day before, racking in the cash, but you know, experiencing their stressors. Then you have guys like my buddies who own that apartment building who are now finding out what they bought is a lot more work than it had previously looked like. And then you've got people like my brother who runs what is, I mean, a legitimate business. That kid has 15 trucks that I know of, multiple drivers, I mean 15 plus drivers that are in those trucks, and every week tires are exploding every day, transmissions are exploding every week, engines are blowing up on brand new trucks all the time because they're driving rural roads with all gravel. I mean, just nightmare delivery situations. And then you have something like that where one of his best drivers ends up putting that thing into a ditch right as the snow came down, way faster than expected. It took them an hour and a half just to get to him that night, just to get to him, to pick him up, and then just abandon the truck until that wrecker could come. So luckily they did rescue it. The truck was making a couple noises, it was throwing a couple codes, so we'll see what that actually entails, and hopefully it's not bad. If you follow the channel, you've met my brother before, you've seen a little bit about his business, but if you want me to maybe do a ride along with him, talk to him about owning this business, let me know in the comments. I really want to end this video talking to him about how he ran his business and what made him do it and how it's going. But obviously, this incident and several others have kind of put him behind. FedEx didn't let them deliver because of the weather in the rural areas. So he's got a lot of catching up to do. I'm not going to add to his plate with a video like this, but in the future, if you guys are interested in dropping the comments, we can dive into what his business life is like. Because again, anytime I have a bad day, I just call and say, hey, how many of your trucks broke today? And, you know, gives me perspective for sure. But I'm going to call it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got to see a glimpse of what some of us entrepreneurs are doing on a daily basis. So it's always something. That's all there is to it. Every day is a different dumpster fire, literally sometimes for us. So I hope to catch you guys in the next one, and I hope to see you in future content. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really does help the channel, and make sure to share with your friends. We'll catch you next time. Keep grinding.